Hi guys, Sci-Fi Recapped here. Before we start, warning. Spoilers ahead. Today, I'm gonna explain a 2017 American science fiction movie called Man from Earth, Holocene, which is a sequel to a 2007 movie, The Man from Earth. The movie begins with a university professor, Professor Carolyn Kittredge, giving a tour to her students in a prehistoric museum. She explains about Homo sapiens living in the Holocene epoch. While not far away, a student separated from the group, Isabel, is sketching skulls and jawbones of the prehistoric human. She is accompanied by her best friend Tara, who notices Professor John Young, lecturer on religion-related courses, examining the prehistoric human exhibit. They gossip about him until they finally decide to walk up and greet him. Turns out, he is there because he is waiting for Professor Kittredge, his girlfriend, who is giving a tour. Tara wants to take a picture with him, but he immediately changes the conversation. In the evening, John is grading his students' work, while Carolyn comes and affectionately greets him. After that, we see Liko, a college student practicing boxing before class. He is called by his friend, Philip, who is already waiting downstairs. After Liko is ready, they go to Professor Young's class at Chico Community College. In the class, they, along with Isabel and Tara, discuss similarities and differences between Buddha and Jesus. After class, they invite Professor Young for a vegan dinner night celebrating the end of the academic year, but he politely declines. Professor Young is approached by another coworker, Professor Gill, delivering the news that he is now a grandfather. To celebrate the birth of his grandson, he asks Professor Young for a drink by the sports stadium. Even though the whiskey is awful, they still enjoy the sunset. Gill asks about whether John regrets not having kids, but John refuses to discuss it. Later that evening, Isabel comes over to Professor Young's home while he is cooking dinner, delivering assignments to be graded by Professor Kittredge. She asks for the books that she can borrow from Professor Young. He motions her to the den and says, "Grab all that you want." Isabel grabs a few books, one of them is written by Arthur Jenkins. Back in her flat, she is reading the book while suddenly Tara appears beside her after coming back from a sorority party. They notice the book is signed by the author with writings to my dear friend, John Oldman, but the spine has not cracked, meaning John has not read it. Based on the date on the author's signature, they deduce the age of Professor Young and become confused because why would he be called Old Man when he was supposedly about 30 years old at that time? They look up Arthur Jenkins on the internet, finding out that he is a renowned archaeologist and has written a book about conversation with the Man from Earth, a university professor, practicing Buddhism, claiming to be 14,000 years old. That book is considered science fiction by the academic community even though he claimed it to be non-fiction, which disgraced Jenkins. They deduce the Man from Earth's descriptions match Professor Young's. Isabel and Tara go to Philip's house, in which Liko is also there. They enthusiastically explain about their findings, about how Jenkins' book tells the story of an immortal man who knows many things and teaches at local colleges, has virtually no presence or any records on the internet, avoids having his picture taken, and changes identity every 10 years. However, his first names are always John, with last names taken from modified versions of historical terms. Liko and Philip deeply question the truth about the story, especially Philip, who is a firm Christian believer, but agrees to help the girls find more about Professor John Young. Meanwhile, far away in Searchlight, Nevada, Art Jenkins is seen gardening with his pig, Betsy. He comes home, plays online chess, then notices an incoming email from Isabel Chang, asking about the John Oldman he wrote in his book. He suddenly becomes emotional and replies that she better go to hell. Not receiving any good response from Jenkins, the students break into John and Carolyn's home to find more proof. In the basement, Liko finds a box of books, each written by different Johns, and takes pictures of them. Isabel notices Carolyn's car in the driveway and warns her friends to quickly escape. Before that, she manages to take a photo of John and Carolyn's photograph in the living room, although John's face is only shown sideways. Fortunately, the house has a back door and they successfully escape. They dig more about the identities of the different Johns. Each identity seems non-existent, with each publisher not having any contact information about the author anymore. Meanwhile, John feels he needs to go hunting in the woods. Even though Carolyn is reluctant at first, finally she lets him go. He argues that he does not feel like himself lately and needs to bond with nature. He drives his truck to the woods and spends the night there. In the woods, John is making fire using stone like a prehistoric human. His hand bleeds and, surprisingly, does not seem to heal as quickly as it should. Although confused, he heads back home. Isabel calls Jenkins again, this time directly saying that she believes her professor, John Young, is John Oldman. Jenkins does not answer it, but he listens to the voicemail carefully. He replies to the message by saying that he wants to talk only if Isabel can send him a clear picture of John Young. After that, Isabel receives a call from an old woman saying he knows a man named John Pleiss back in 1957 in a small college in Idaho. The description of the man matches John Young. That call is a response from the many emails and calls Isabel and her friends have sent in many colleges across the states, which might be where Professor John Young worked at some point in time. Isabel, Liko, and Tara try to take a picture with Professor Young by offering him coffee before class, but John conspicuously messes up the shots to not fully show his face. After class, they try to convince Philip again to believe them, but Philip is still skeptical, especially by the fact that John Young could be the Jesus Christ figure all Christians worship. But they do not give up, so late at night Liko and Isabel sneak into John's window and take pictures of him sleeping. Isabel sends the pictures to Jenkins, to which he agrees to meet and talk to John. He bids goodbye to his pig and prepares to go on a road trip. Meanwhile, Tara comes to John's office at the campus and flirts with him, but he rejects her and gets her out of the office. Unfortunately, during flirting, she claims that she knows about John's true identity. John feels he is in danger, so he talks to Gil that he wants to quit and can recommend a replacement lecturer for next term. Gil is disappointed, but eventually accepts him. At home, John tells Carolyn that he needs to go, and although Carolyn is disappointed as well, she accepts him because there is nothing she could do. Tara confesses her actions to Isabel, which surprises her, saying that Tara's words might make John disappear sooner. They call Jenkins, who is still 2 hours away from them, so they have to keep John Young from leaving until Jenkins gets there. John is burning his only photo with Carolyn, then gets ready to load his belongings into his truck until the 4 students show up and confront him. Isabel shows him Jenkins' book and wants him to admit that he is John Oldman, the living embodiment of Jesus Christ. John refuses, and after a brief conversation the students leave. However, Liko tases him from behind and he falls unconscious due to his head hitting the pavement. Meanwhile, Art Jenkins' car breaks down on the middle of the road, so Isabel, Tara, and Liko decide to pick him up, while Philip is in charge of the unconscious John and is supposed to call an ambulance for him. However, he ties John in the basement. When John wakes up, he asks John about the truth. John begs that Philip cuts him loose, but Philip is confused and anxious. He agrees that he would release John if John tells him the truth. John confesses that over 2,000 years ago, he taught a group of people basic spiritual wisdom, then it developed into Christianity and people called him Christ. Philip seems to believe that, but when he takes a knife and is about to cut John loose, he doubts him again as he thinks John is supposed to have magical powers to free himself. He begins to question John again, and gets furious as some of John's replies contradict sayings from the Bible that he truly believes in. He is not satisfied with John's explanations, and deduces that he is not Christ, but Antichrist instead. John counters him again, saying the Antichrist concept never exists in the Bible and never refers to a single person. Philip, still clouded by his emotions, accuses John again of being the 7-headed beast from the book of Revelation who can heal miraculously and plans to gain massive followers on earth. John denies it, then asks Philip to either stab him or let him go. After a while, Philip decides to stab him in the heart, believing that if John is truly Jesus Christ, he would not die. However, John seems to die after the stab, blood trickling down from the wound. Philip is shocked and leaves abruptly. On the road, Isabel and others try contacting Philip to no avail, so they begin to worry about him and John. They arrive at John's house only to find blood trails from the basement. In the basement, they find a broken chair and a pool of blood, but no sign of anybody. They decide to call every nearby hospital, hoping that Philip and John are already in hospital and John is receiving medical attention, while still being very confused at the scene in the basement. Then, John is seen waking up at a cave. He is called upon by a man approaching him, Harry, who brings him clothes and other survival gears. Turns out Harry knows John's secrets. He asks John to come with him as his dad is sick, to which John agrees. Then they get in Harry's car and leave. In the mid-credits scene, an FBI agent comes to Jenkins' front door and asks him questions. The descriptions of John Young match those of witnesses of several unsolved murder cases in the past. He asks Jenkins if Young is capable of violent actions. Jenkins replies that he does not know, although he believes anything is possible. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.